And we are back. So it's been a little while since I did a check-in video reflections, and I've been on a whole journey. Moved into community in London, moved out, and here we are again, back to where we started, back to the beginning, and new phase and different phase of life. And things are a bit uncertain, just trusting flow and seeing where that will take me. Just also getting over this flu, so I'm feeling a bit low energy, and in case you might notice, but I really wanted to do this video because of what's happening at the moment with Aubrey Marcus and a few themes that I really wanted to touch on. And obviously a lot of it is, it's amazing that it's highlighted this thing of polyamory and what that really means and what that's about. And then I feel like this situation has really allowed everyone to find their path even more powerfully and more strongly. And first of all, I just wanted to say that I definitely agree with a lot of people who are saying that we shouldn't be judgmental. I've been doing classes on this as well, and sometimes it can be difficult. 100% that is true. I don't feel like when I have been speaking about this, I've been speaking about him and his partners at all. It's not really about that. It's just more about the dynamics that are playing out with the themes that are playing out. So I don't feel like this has got anything to do with this particular people involved. It's more to do with where your path is going and being able to see clearly within that. So 100% I don't agree with calling people all sorts of names and also just calling them specific, not even clear things, but just like, predatory, or the thing is, it could be true, it could be false, we don't really know that, what's going on. And I find it interesting when I see people speaking in that way, because I don't know how you can speak with such conviction on something that you really don't know is true, It's more of an assumption that you've made. It might be true, but at the same time, it's not concrete yet, and that's also not the way that they have been framing it in the podcast that they released. So if you don't know, there was a podcast that was released, and basically there's two women in there, one of them is his wife and the other one is his partner, and they're openly saying that they're in this kind of open relationship, and they are also saying that he wants to have children with both of them. So it's new forms of relating to each other, and it's very much rewiring and rewriting the traditional structure. So the traditional structure of monogamy, I feel like I really want to just outline and say that I don't think that most people are aware of what it really is. So I feel like it's really, really powerful, and it is the foundation of society in this current stage. And if I think about future civilizations and other civilizations that exist now and what their kind of structure could potentially be, it probably is very different to what we have here. And I can totally imagine that there are probably other beings and races of beings who operate on structures outside of monogamy. Well, what I will say about this is that, first of all, the relationships that I've seen polyamorous are it's very difficult to do it properly. And when I say properly, I mean to do it from a place of complete transparency and honesty. To basically not lie. I feel like the relationships that I've seen in those dynamics are not able to truly hold the capacity of what that relationship really means, to be in a relationship with more than one person. I have seen it through a friend, actually, and I feel like they were doing it right, they were doing it properly. And that is because when they would meet someone else, they would tell. They were in a monogamous relationship when they opened up. They would tell the other person, and then they would move through those emotions of jealousy and they would speak about it. It sounded very difficult, honestly. It sounded tough. But they would go into the details of what was happening and what was happening in those sexual explorations with the other person as well. I feel like this is what polyamory truly requires. What I've seen is the opposite. People with one person sneakily being with another person and not being able to be honest about it. The whole point of polyamory is that, as well as people wanting to be in polyamory and the partner not really wanting to, but then feeling like they're kind of in a way being forced to do it. Just obviously there's consent there and it takes two to tango, but at the same time it's like that person doesn't really want to, then they find themselves just doing it just because, and in that way there's a form of manipulation that's taking place. And I feel like most of the time people are not able to be super clear, super honest. So the idea of this polyamorous relationship is kind of very difficult to anchor in now, at the stage where we are now. And to promote that, I feel like most of the time is just to promote deceitfulness and lies. When I think about the way that the evolution is going, I always come back to purity. Everything's coming back to purity. I feel like that's also got a bit of a negative connotation, but no, I feel like that's it. It's innocence. Our childlike nature, we are bringing it back, we're calling it back in here now. So it requires the utmost of holding of your values and integrity. It requires you to be completely honest. They say that in the future we won't be able to lie because our partners will just be able to read our minds, so we'll know straight away what's going on. So I feel like this is the way we are going. And I know for me that honesty and its connection with trust, right, is so important in any of my relationships, right? And so I just feel like a lot of people are not able to do that. And for me, it always raises this question mark of if you're promoting polyamorous relationships, most people can't do it. So what are you really promoting? Do you know what I mean? You're promoting just extra drama, confusion, lying, and all these very, 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 low vibrational states of being ultimately. And when I say low and high, it just means on the purpose of clarity and purity, right? So, and this is the other thing I find so interesting, because a lot of people in those polyamorous dynamics, I feel like it just brings in more drama, more sauce, and to be in a relationship with one person is enough already. I don't even know why you want even more. But it brings it in a different way, where it's more about the drama than it is about confronting the shadow, I find. And anyway, I totally get it, it's fine. People can do whatever they wish. If they want to explore different open types of relationship, each to their own, and I have no problem with it. The thing I do have a problem with is when people try and manipulate and invert and distort the truth. And one thing from that podcast of those people is that the term that this priest guy was using, it's not priest, he was a rabbi. But anyway, this guy is questionable in the first place. There's that video of him, he's got sexual abuse in his past. Whether it's true or not, there's a different debate. However, there's been numerous cases of people, especially the one where he was 19 and the girl was 13/14, It's a bit bizarre for that kind of person to now come forward and start promoting polyamory. To me, it just seems like, he seems to be, to use that language correctly, showing signs of someone who is lost, That's it, simple. And it's not a good look for him. That's all I can say. From what's happened in his past to now. And it looks bad, I would say, and especially for someone like Aubrey for that to be his teacher is like it's questionable. It's all very very questionable. Anyway, what's going on in the world? It's kind of wild. And yeah, so anyway, yeah, that's the thing that I have a problem with. And that's in the podcast, they are promoting it as, what was the term? Radical monogamy. And I even saw on Vylana's story, she reposted someone else who was saying, divine union has got nothing to do with numbers. It's not just about two people, it can be more than two. Now, this is where I want to get clear and very clear about what's really going on. First of all, mono means one. Monogamy is in partnership with one other person. So how can you say it's not about numbers if that's the literal definition of what it means? So, again, you're inverting what is the truth of what is. As we move through this ascension, this is going to happen more and more and more, and it's going to annoy people more and more and more. Because I see it and I'm just like, guys, come on now. Really, you want to invert the truth that much? You're taking it to the next degree and it's unnecessary. So, it is about numbers, first of all. Okay? Mono is one, yeah? Poly is more than one. So, it's a number, right? It's not a set definite number, it's a number. It's open. That's why the whole term open relationship. So first of all, this is the thing I think a lot of people had a problem with, and it's got nothing to do with him or that person. It's the stories that they're telling, the language that they're using, the distortions that are coming through their mouths. Radical monogamy, it's nonsensical. It doesn't make sense. You can't say you're in a radical monogamous relationship when there's more than one person. It doesn't work. Okay, the end, that one's squashed, done. And this is where I have a problem. Okay, again, don't come here and try to manipulate terms that people have no problem with and confuse people as well. There's a lot of confusion that's wrapped up in this, the emitting of this podcast. And then secondly, and the thing is, these guys have a lot of, he has a big following, I'm sure some people will see it and be like, oh yeah, good, he's got a good point, without recognizing the nuance and the subtleties of what's really going on, And now the next part was the divine union about the numbers, okay? Just because you're in a polyamorous open relationship with more than one person, it doesn't mean that it's not ordained by the source, It doesn't mean that it's wrong, okay? This is what I want to highlight. They are different paths. They are very different paths, and that's okay. I don't understand why they feel the need to attack monogamy and go, no, it can be monogamous even if it's more than one. Just stop. Literally. Call it what it is. It's open. It's polyamorous. Let it be that, You want to be in a relationship with more than one person, just say it. Just be honest, Don't try to twist and manipulate and say, And yeah, so they're different paths, basically. There's no point trying to twist and manipulate it. The point is divine union and the Heros Gamos path. You might have heard this term before, which is basically, from my understanding of it, is something that I felt when I first read about it. It was a visceral thing. And I truly believe that this Heros Gamos path of divine union, which is also called sacred union sometimes, is about the family unit of being in a relationship with one person. Now, obviously, that's just my thoughts, and I could be wrong. But again, they're different paths. Some people are here to anchor in that Heros Gamos unification, and other people are here to explore and learn through open relationships. Totally believe that is what's happening. And again, it's not to condemn one against the other. Again, that's why I don't understand why they're they're trying to pose one over the other, because I feel like in that podcast they're kind of trying to do that in some ways, and especially with this, like, oh, it's not about the numbers, like, just accept that you're on a different path, you know? So the point is, I would say that yes, divine union is important about the amount of people that you're in a relationship with, because it can't be this sacred divine union once you've opened your field up to more people. Again, that's not saying it's better or not, it's just saying what it is, and in that you have a choice what you want and what your soul is requiring. And I'm sure that there will be soul lessons learned through the open relationship dynamic as well that can be integrated. P.S. The relationship that I was telling you my friends were in, what I feel like was really the only time I've ever seen it work properly. They ended up in a monogamous relationship and now they're getting married. So it's interesting, why do we always come back to this monogamy? Also, I feel like a lot of us aren't really taught how to be in relationships. We think it's just this materialistic thing, you know, support each other, have someone to spend your life with, and have a family, and, you know, rinse and repeat. However, from what I have learned about relationships, there's so much more to it, and actually the alchemical unification of the heroes gammas takes place only in the union of two people, because you have to confront your shadows. And this is where some people have the tools and others don't. Some people see where the work is and they sit with it and they evolve, and other people, unfortunately, they just keep repeating the cycles that go down through their lineage that they learned through their parents, and so on and so on. And that's when you end up in these dynamics that don't change, which a lot of people like to call karmic dynamics, right? Where people aren't learning the lesson. It's a karmic dynamic relationship where things are brought up and then it's not shifted, it doesn't change, yeah? And I'm sure there's definitely lessons and learning and shadow work that is happening in polyamorous relationships as well. But you've got to ask yourself what else is happening there, because, and again, this is an important thing. This is why it's so important to speak on these things. And yes, don't judge people, but also discern and see what's really going on and speak on it and call it out and say what you need to say. You know, I saw someone do this video saying, oh, our brother, it's not very nice to gossip about our brother, right? To be honest, I haven't seen much gossiping. And I haven't seen much judgment. I've just seen people calling things out. And I think that's a very, very healthy and good thing. And first of all, you can say that, but you have to say, like, obviously, just in saying that one message, you're not able to see more of the picture. It would be more helpful to say, you know, it's important not to be judgmental, but also fair enough if you want to call it out. Do you know what I mean? You have to bring both into it. It's not just one-dimensional. And to say that is a bit of bypassing and just, again, allowing this kind of behavior and patterns to just happen. You know, like I said, I don't really care what people do in their time or with their lives. They can do whatever they want. But, you know, I like to think that I'm here to uphold what's true. So that's why I'm here to speak on this specific thing. And so many other things. This is just one of the many different videos and reflections that I've done, right? So the thing is, I feel like the divine, that sacred, it is just two people, because you just cannot create that same kind of container for the alchemical union to take place. People say, yeah, but Heros Gammas is actually just what's happening internally, and you can do it yourself. It is, but at the same time, it's also external, and those are two different things as well. 100% anchor in that Heros Gammas in yourself, so that you can just, basically the point is the union of the masculine and the feminine, and that coming together in a balanced way. Obviously, I feel like I was focusing on that a lot before I got into a relationship, and then you get into the relationship, and it's still there, you know, it's still happening. Yes, you can do that alone, but also to replicate that outside in the external world is, again, it's not. And the reason you need one person, one other, is because, first of all, the potency that is held is just that person. and the focus and intention that can create the opportunities for things to be alchemized and seen and healed is much stronger in just one than it is more. Because in the dynamic, when there's more, now you're focusing on slightly different things here. Okay, yes, you can be working on your jealousy and all of these things, but I feel like there's doors. In the one, there's just one door. That's it. It's like focus, attention, detail. Here, there's 2 doors, 3 doors, or maybe even more. So now your focus and attention is going into these other places rather than really to yourself in that meeting of yourself in the mirror with that other person. And I also feel like you have to question what else is going on. The reason why you want to be in open polyamorous relationships, because a lot of the time people are escaping, and that's why it's messy, and that's why people can't be honest and all these things, because they are escaping themselves. And I 100% believe that's true, and I think that a lot of people that I've seen in the polyamorous relationships, like I said, they're not able to be honest, they're not able to uphold these high values of integrity. And because of that, they're choosing that path. Yes, maybe that is going to learn, and then they're going to get there in the end, they're going to realize, fine, whatever, that's their path. But they're different paths. This is the point. Keep their paths different. One of them is monogamous, it is just one person, it is Heros Gammas Christos union. And the other one is learning and upgrading in a different way. And basically you have to question and ask yourself, what else is happening? Why do you feel like you want more? What is this seeking, needing? You want more people in your life, more, the point is go behind that and find out what it is that's creating that urge. And maybe, and again, that's where you find the shadow. So there's so much there's so much to it that can be explored and can be healed and be worked on. And again, just because we see someone else's thing playing out, they may be going through these unhealed aspects of self that are lustful, and not that lust is necessarily completely a negative thing, but like when it's just based on the physical material realm, because we know there's so much more to it than it's just like that one-dimensional thing, and it could be connected with greed and ego, satisfaction, and we don't know what these other people are experiencing. And that might be what's playing out that's creating these open dynamics. So honestly, and again, I can't say that is what's happening to them because I don't know. I'm not in that. You're the only one that can say that for yourself. So if you're feeling like you want to explore in that way, you have to question and ask yourself what it is. Plus, the word sacred, and I feel like it's so true, but when there's only one other person, it is sacred because you only need one other person. And this need to be like, oh my god, I need to be in a relationship with more. I feel like, in a way, it takes away that sacred container again because there's more doors, there's more leakages of energy, and whatever other shadow aspects might be playing out. Okay, also take away the sacredness, or take the dishonesty that I see so often. It takes away from actually being sacred. So there's that as well. And basically, the point is that, they are very different paths. And yes, the Heros Gammas unification takes place internally, oneself. And I actually think that's the point. When you are in a relationship, you need both. You need the internal and the external if you choose. And the external, I just want to also point this out because it's an energetic thing that's happening, which again, I think doesn't work when there's more than one person, and that's why these paths are different. What you're anchoring in is the source of the frequencies. You're anchoring Mother, Father, God, which a lot of people like to call it. You're anchoring in the primal and primordial aspects of source creation, which is masculine and the feminine, and the child and this innocence, right? So when you do that within yourself, internally, and also when you're in a relationship and you're balanced, but the masculine meets the feminine. And I really also want to point out, it doesn't matter what gender you are, because these are energies. It's not about gender. So I definitely think that there can be same gender relationships, but it's about the frequency of the energies that you're bringing through. And what you'll find is normally one of them is more masculine and one of them is more feminine as well. And because of that, it's unifying. So I feel like, over the time we learn how to balance everything, and then we meet a divine counterpart, and then together you combine those the masculine and the feminine, and then you create the child. So this is what I feel like is so important, because when that happens, what you're actually doing is that you're bringing in a specific energetic frequency onto the planet that can only be anchored in when there's 1 + 1. Again, it's a different path. Some people might disagree, and might be polyamorous will be saying, not true, divine is divine. But this is what I'm saying. Everything is divine. It doesn't matter what one you're choosing. But at the same time, the divine union is the divine union. The Hero's Gamos is the Hero's Gamos, and that's just the way it is. You can't debate, and you can try, but the point is, we see through it. Anyway, so the point is that it's a very, very different path. And what's been happening now is that basically we are choosing, and we are getting to see what we want to anchor in and how we want to be during this time and this ascension. And bearing in mind that the ascension is taking place. And when you anchor in the Hero's Gamos between the union, the other part of it is that, this is what's bringing in the new codes, the new world, all of that. It's because you're literally anchoring in the source. So, and it's physical, energetic component to it that's happening. So with that, it's, you've got to ask yourself, what are you doing and what are you creating and what do you want and where are you going? All these important questions. So anyway, there's just my reflections. I thought I really wanted to just share on this topic, because there's so much to it, and it's not just about, let's just get into relationships. I think a lot of the time, a lot of people are seeing that there is an agenda as well to stop the divine unions of two taking place, so that this high frequency is not able to be anchored in, and that's another part of that some people have pointed out as well. Okay, so and that's another thing to realize, is that there is this agenda that's also here to throw people off and not know what they're doing, and throw people into confusion, throw people into this energy that is not clear, and it's not going down that path towards or ascension. So thank you for listening, thank you for tuning in. If you're interested, if I have my online course, Orgasm 101, which you can download and listen to in your spare time, it's available via donation. The link in the description. Keep